We have today a TFS ignition system, thermocouple flame sense. This particular system, when you turn it on, it comes pre-tested at the factory, so all you have to do is put your batteries in, hit the button or remote control, and basically you have plug and play. So as you turn it on, it'll bleed the line automatically, and as the unit's up and running, it should light and stay lit. If it doesn't light within 15 seconds, it will go into an error code and shut the unit off. Okay, as you see, the fire pit did turn off after 15 seconds, which means that it went into an error code. In order to reset that error code, you have to hit the off button on the remote control, and when you hit on, you basically have reset it to come back on again. So we're going to turn it back on and see if it actually quits again in another 15 seconds. That'll let us know whether or not we really do have an issue that we have to deal with, or maybe there was just something going on with the flame as it was blowing around. So we'll see what happens here in just a short amount of time. If it still has an issue, as you can see, it just shut back off. Now let's talk about some of the troubleshooting aspects of this. Okay, so now that we have to do some investigation, we're first going to take a look at some just pretty much visual things to see if we can figure out if there's anything that's just loose or whatever's going on inside the unit itself. So we're first going to take a look at the ignition hood. This is where we get most of our calls from people. What you'll see is there is a thermocouple in there, just like we have on a TMS system, that has to be in line with the hood in that notch. So what I'm going to do is, as I'm looking down at this, I can see that it's not over top of the notch. So I'm going to center it with my pliers. I'm going to squeeze this a little bit and make sure it still stays tight and doesn't move. And I'm going to put the hood back in place. And now we're going to go down underneath and check for any kind of other wires. Okay, now we're going to go down underneath and take a look at wires, possible frayed wires, pinched wires, connections on gas valves, all those different things that you can actually do a quick visual on. So this is what we're going to do first. And for those of you who see that I'm doing this underneath, most fire pits do not have an access panel, so you have to pull the fire pit up out of the enclosure and actually to do what I'm doing here today. But this is just for convenience sakes, for you can see what's going on. So we're looking for any kind of frayed wires or pinched wires. Everything looks okay over here to the battery pack. Going to look inside here. We have the pilot connection. There's a 2-pin connector. That's orange and white wire for the pilot side. The main is green and white. We have the solenoid, which has a red and black wire connected to it. Down at the bottom of the gas valve, we actually have the thermocouple ground, and there's also a black ground wire from the control module in the back of the unit. Now, one of the things that you may or may not hear in this particular video right now is there's a beeping sound, and that's the ignition safety, because we know it went out. When that goes out, sometimes if you have it installed in your enclosure and you're outdoors, you're not going to hear this beeping sound unless you physically pull it up and out so that you can tell what's going on. But that's a way for it to identify what the actual problem is. So as we're looking in through here, I don't see anything else that leads me to believe that it would not work. So I believe at this point, what we have is probably just a crooked thermocouple up at the top. We talked earlier about the ignition error code, which was 1 beat for every 1 second. Also, the control module in the back has the capability of detecting what we call thermal safety, which means it can be overheated with too much heat in the enclosure area itself. If it does that, what you're going to have is 4 beeps every 2 seconds. There's also another error code called the sensor safety, which beeps 4 beeps every 1 second. These particular error codes are something that you need to be aware of when you hear them activated in the control module itself. So I'm going to put this back together. We're going to reset it and relight it and see what happens. Just going to put my screws in temporarily here just to hold it in place. And as we talked before, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit the off button, which stops the beeping. I'm going to hit the on button, which should reset it and light the unit back up again. Hopefully this time we have ignition, it'll stay lit, and we won't have to worry about it again. Now, as you can see, it appears like we've got it rectified. If you have any other issues, please feel free to call 855-498-8324. Thank you.